Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings and Isabella Stevens. Today we have an exciting panel for our audience. We have the Tom Wood Automotive Group Parts panel, and Ted, the leaders of fixed operations, are here with us today.
Sarah, you're so right. We're learning a lot about the Tom Wood Automotive Group, one of the great dealer groups in our country. Bill Demaree is with us, a friend of the fixed ops community, certainly a great colleague. Bill, welcome back, and tell us who we have here today.
Hey, thanks for having us. We're excited to talk all things parts today. So I have to my left, Kevin Dunmire is my group parts director, and he spends time focusing on exactly what we're talking about, all things parts and profitability and all that fun stuff. And to his left is Matt Cooper. Matt is one of our superstars running a very large Jaguar, Land Rover, and Volvo store. So he manages a significant amount of inventory and does it extremely well. So I brought the best for you today, Ted, and let's ask some great questions of him.
All right. So with that, I'll turn it over to Isabella Stevens. Isabella is a student at Northwood University in Midland, Michigan. Isabella, the show is yours.
Yes, thank you, Ted. There's a lot of changes in the automotive industry, and I know there's been a big increase with parts and the service side of the dealership. Now, Kevin, my question is, how do you think dealerships should be thinking about parts today, not just as a support, but as the true profit center of the business?
Well, how much time do we have today? We could go into a lot of different angles here. So it's, as Matt knows, he lives it every single day, but the big thing that has changed over the last 10 to 15 years is that while 70% of our profit truly is from the service department in most dealerships, there's still that 30%, maybe 40%, maybe it's only 10%, but that 10% can amount to a lot. Whether we're talking about automation, saving the value of a minute, robotic delivery is what I'm speaking of directly. We could talk about e-commerce. We could talk about leading the future. As far as training up, the people that we may only have as a shipping and receiving person, but raising them up and giving them opportunities for the future. Sometimes the secret to your success could be somebody that's working for you. You just need to ask the question or have the open door. So really, it's as far as looking at that and looking at the metrics as far as the statement and whatnot. After controllable expense, teaching these guys exactly what all these numbers mean. A lot of times the next dollar can be made just by looking at what you already have and doing a better job with what you already have. So Mike's a good testament to that. He's done the unthinkable or the unbelievable, the impossible by some people's standards. And sometimes that's just managing your inventory well. And he's done a fantastic job of that. And I'm sure we'll get to that at some point.
Yeah. Matt, I would love to hear your perspective on that.
As far as profit center, I would say the most important part is your customers. You have to start off with the customers every time. If your customer's happy and they are being supported by you, they're going to come back to you every time because they can count on you to do the right thing for them every time. And that's what we do here is customers are number one priority. And then, of course, we have our service department. They're our best customer. So we always have to make sure that we're looking out for them first and foremost and giving them exactly what they need.
Yeah, just really elevating the dealership. I love it. Bill, do you have anything to add?
I think Kevin and Matt both mentioned most of them. And parts department a lot of times is the afterthought, of the store. I always say the back end guys, is service. Oh yeah, then there's parts. So but if you look at the industry, how much it's shifted over the last few years. Oh my gosh, we really need these parts guys. We really need these service guys. So we've kind of, I always say we've kind of made our way to the Thanksgiving table, right? We're at the dinner table now. We're not the little kiddie table in the corner anymore. We've got the big board table, and it's really fun to watch the parts department, and you see why I elevated Kevin to his position, is his knowledge of bringing those profits that get overlooked a lot because everybody focuses on service and, oh yeah, there's parts, they'll follow service. And we believe that parts doesn't just follow service. Parts has to be embedded with service. And as we look at, op codes and we look at price increases, it used to be, oh yeah, service is going to raise the price by $5. Okay, well, what about parts? They should get a piece of that as well. So we are really aligned with that as a group to try to make sure that we're elevating the whole fixed ops, not just service.
Yeah.
Well said, Bill. And really, Ted, we've been talking a lot about parts at the roundtable, and our audience today, we have a lot of general managers, dealer principals, and managing partners that are listening. And this is a $1 billion industry, parts. And it's exciting, Kevin, to think about some of the opportunities when it comes to inventory strategy. So Kevin and Matt and then Bill, want to get your opinions on this to share with our audience today. What does a healthy, high-performing parts inventory truly look like? And how do you avoid both shortages and obsolescence?
Oh, man. Well, I tell you what, it's not a single easy answer. Whenever I said, how much time do you have? I really mean it. And that's, I think, to Bill's point, a lot of what has happened in the past is people thought it was, parts is parts. We've heard that, right? That applies to some things. But I think Matt has proved it so perfectly, where knowing your specific OEMs, their policies, their procedures, how they will help you. In most cases, with most OEMs, they will help you manage your inventory well. Your inventory isn't going to manage itself, and it is very OEM specific. And if you don't have the right person in the right seat, it's not going to happen. Matt has done a fantastic job of taking, and I don't want to steal his thunder, so I definitely want him, I think he's that way on my screen. I don't want to take away what he wants to talk about, but his dealership would look very different today if he wasn't, brave enough and have the drive to educate himself on all the different brands that he has, because he has 3. And if he didn't know the ins and outs, he'd be in a really bad situation. So speak to that a little bit, Matt, about some of the things that you had to claw your way out of, and now you're literally quite possibly the best in the country when it comes to those 3 brands.
Well, I'll tell you what, it kind of goes back to what you said. How much time you got? So when I walked into this place, we were a $1.2 million inventory with a $350,000 bad inventory. So, the first thing you have to do when you walk in is realize what you're dealing with. What are we missing on? What can we hit on? And start, as you like to say, peel the onion. Start looking at it layer by layer. What am I ordering every day that I shouldn't be ordering every day? What do I have in my inventory that I shouldn't have in my inventory? And then slowly start peeling it away, adding those parts. Also, it's important to make sure that you're ordering properly so that you always get the proper buyback amount, so you can send those obsolescent parts back and not worry about anything growing or getting out of control, which is something I really focused on. And as a result, over the last 4 years, I've gotten it down to, a 5% obsolescence, which is all, by just diligently managing inventory, watching what the trends are, and acting on it and not waiting. And that's how I got to where I am today. So it just takes time and patience.
If I could just add a little bit to that, 5% to a Toyota guy doesn't sound that impressive. That's almost expected out of a Toyota guy or Lexus or maybe even Honda. But for a Land Rover, I think specifically is one of the harder ones to deal with. That is truly best in class. And whenever I say best in the country, I'm not kidding around. I'd put money on that.
Bill, what other perspectives do you have regarding, both avoiding part shortages and obsolescence, and how do you see this from the fixed ops manager perspective?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to it, and I think that we also we have to monitor the parts orders situation, and we have processes in place that we have a BDC center that's doing outbound phone calls, continuously trying to schedule to get those parts off the shelf. And it's extremely important to know that if you have a shelf full of ordered parts, who's responsible, for those? The parts manager is going to tell you it's service because they ordered them. Service is saying, hey, I don't know, the customer wanted them. And it's all these finger pointing. So it's really important to have a process together to get those parts off the shelf and on the car and get them scheduled. Mobile service comes into play with that. Certainly our BDCs, we're using Numa now for outbound texting and just continuing to build our technology platforms that'll help us move parts. And it's no different than a used car inventory. The longer it sets, the more expensive it is, and you got to move it. You got to keep it flowing, and you got to keep it clean. And these two gentlemen do an amazing job across our group, keeping our stuff clean and organized. And the bins are checked. You should be able to do daily bin checks and just make sure that your inventory is pure and clean. And so when Kevin moves in to do his inventories, he's got a big trophy over the side of his head over there. You can see we have contests that we run on parts inventories and obsolescence and how many write-ins did we have. So it's a big challenge now across our group, but we've got some superstar winners around, and I think they own it, and they just own that process. So it's important to keep the inventory moving.
That's quite the trophy, Ted.
That is. To which I want to come to Matt with the next question, because Matt, Kevin Dunmire has reminded me many times in the past that service can't sell those hours without the parts. All right. And it all comes back to having the parts, and parts needs to get a lot of love. So Matt, for you first, if I can, how do you balance retail and wholesale parts operations? And even more recently, we've had some discussions on e-commerce, right? To maximize both volume and margin.
As far as wholesale goes, I'm basically open to any customer that wants to inquire. I consider wholesale a something that's our controllable, right? The parts guys are completely in charge of it. The parts guys, they're the ones who make it happen. So they can either be very successful at it or not. Our mentality is the more of these wholesale customers that we have that come to us that we can build a relationship with, the more sales we'll get from them, and we can just keep building the relationships. And as far as the retail goes, having a great boutique, having it well stocked for people to walk by and look at, they come walking right in. They want to see the stuff that you have and ask questions. And sometimes it's very exciting for the customer. And they go and tell their friends. And next thing you know, their friends are coming over to look at the stuff that they were just being told about. And we have that happen all the time. And, it does work out to be a healthy balance with those kind of customers coming in like that. And then also with the wholesale customers that we deal with on a regular basis. The balance is get in as many as you can. And how many can we service?
And Kevin, from your perspective, balancing retail and wholesale parts operations, your thoughts?
Yeah. So when it comes to wholesale, we've always taken the approach at most of our stores that we're going to provide absolutely excellent service. And those accounts that appreciate that, they're willing to pay, or I should say they're willing to accept less of a discount. And so we provide stellar service and we get them the right part the first time, which, hey, that's kind of the thing that we're shooting for out in the shop too, right? Yeah. We want to get them the right part. We want to let them know exactly if it's a body shop or something, this is our return policy. We will help you out. We want to be a partner, but it's got to work both ways too. And so if you have the right partner, and I guess maybe we should call them partners and not accounts, I don't know, then it works and it makes sense. But then as far as the retail side, I'll tell you one quick story about, to me, what I think is a big win. I had heard a tip at a performance group that I went to that one of the guys in the New Jersey area, I believe, he said, you know what, I'm thinking about getting greeting cards for my boutique. And I was like, you're crazy. And so a few years ago, we got with the company. We put up a rack of greeting cards, okay, and it became one of our best sellers in the boutique. The margin was good, but obviously it was a couple dollars per card. Not a big deal, right? But I tell you what, we had the grandma that came in specifically just to buy. She loved these cards so much. She bought 12 cards because she wanted to take care of birthdays, anniversaries, whatever. Well, guess what she did before she left the dealership? She bought another car. So, it's bringing people into the dealership that may not be, a model of a car or an oil filter, but different things where we literally had people coming into the dealership that day. They didn't have a car to service. They weren't looking to buy a car. They just wanted to come see what was in the boutique. I know that's unusual, but it works. And we've got it in a couple dealerships and it works well. So you got to think outside the box. We'll say that, from robotics to greeting cards, that's what we do here at Tom Wood. So.
Bill, there's a lot here to unpack. Sometimes it's the obvious as well.
It really is. And again, that's what I love about our group. We're not black and white. We're not a little box. We sell greeting cards and I love our robots. I'm big, as you know, Ted, in the robotic space and have been for years, and the AI, and we're continuing to advance our robots around the group. And it's that time efficiency of it doesn't stop and have conversations. It doesn't call in sick. It just delivers parts. That's what it's supposed to do. And that industry is continuing to get better and better and better. And at NADA, we recognize that, and we spoke to several robotic companies there that I think is going to continue to help us be more efficient within our parts departments.
Isabella, you recently had a chance to see some of those parts robots in action yourself in dealership.
Yeah, I mean, the technology that is coming out is just incredible. And even being able to be at NADA, we saw the fighting robots, which really blew me away personally. Now, Kevin, I loved how you talked about how the parts department can be a great opportunity for these dealerships. Where do you think that parts departments typically lose time or the most money? And what kind of processes have you guys made that has made the biggest impact in improving this efficiency?
Well, most recently, specifically the robot. I'll be honest with you. And it's not, when we say robot, it's not, you don't just see the robot and then it's gone. You've got a dashboard. You can look, you actually have identifiable, KPIs really. And you can say what a good job looks like when it comes to a robotic employee, so to speak. I think we were averaging, most of the time we average 1.5 miles a day on this robot. And that's all he's doing right now is delivering robots. And I'm saying he, I should not identify that robot as a gender, but anyways, he's got a face, so and a name, right, Bill?
It sings. Woody's his name.
That's true. It sings whatever music you want to put in there. Oh yeah, it'll do it all. But besides that, like we're innovating towards, okay, well, some of our dealerships we can't put it in the parts department, or it can't get to the parts department because there's a door there. Well, we've solved the problem. We have an automatic door opener now to where, the robot gets close and the door opens, and it doesn't have to cost $40,000, so it's a matter of finding out how can we save time every step of the way. And I go back to something that I discovered 20 years ago. I was cleaning out some drawers in an old office, and there was a VHS tape. Isabella, you may not know what that is, but a VHS tape of the Toyota 7 storage techniques. And I took the 20 minutes to watch that, and it just taught you about, oh wait, just because all your oil filters are over here, all your brake pads are over here, pull it out of your DMS and go by rank. What do you sell the most of? Maybe you should have a mixture of parts over here, not just filters or just brake pads. So looking at just, based on volume, how can I take a few less steps every time I touch that part? So it's a constant thing. It's a constant desire for us to get better and better. And the robot has been the most modern, the most current development of that.
Yeah, I love that. The emphasis on just keep growing the company and keep developing. Now, Matt, can you kind of talk about what kind of processes you've developed in your stores that have helped you become the best in the country, as Kevin says?
Yeah, I got a couple of them I could share. As far as processes go, we have a lot of them, and that kind of touches on saving time. When you have a process on how to handle a situation and somebody can go to that process and know I should do this for this reason, this way, they don't have to, they don't waste time trying to figure out what they should do. They just already know how to do it, and that saves time. As far as other processes that help us get this inventory lined up, we have a really good return bin situation where, if a part comes back and it's not something we stock, but we got to get it put into a bin so we can take care of it. They know to locate it to this one particular bin, and I know that anything in this bin needs to be returned. So once again, that's a time-saving situation where they know exactly what to do and how to do it. And it makes my job easier and saves me time because I know exactly where to go find these things. Also, we have processes for when new parts come in. How do we locate the new part until it makes its way to the new bin with the label so that everybody knows where it is for the time being? And things like that. Once again, kind of touching on saving time, knowing how to do something when I have to do it. I don't have to go ask the manager. I don't have to ask somebody that I work for. I can just look at the process file, find it, and act on it. And that saves so much time. It saves so many questions. And it just helps everybody feel more relaxed and comfortable because they know what to do.
Yeah, I love that. Bill, do you see an area where these departments are losing the most amount of time and money?
Yeah, so one of the things that Matt does extremely well that we're going to be sending a lot of people from field trips to his store to look how he does it. So he has everything laid out, labeled. So example, we acquired Mighty Distribution. So Mighty is now providing the shop supplies and a lot of different things in our parts departments, batteries, wipers, etc. So now when the Mighty rep comes in on our behalf, all they got to do is look at Matt's racking system, and it says, I need 5 of these, I need 10 of these, there should be 4 of these, should be 3 of these. So they don't have to speak to anybody. They can look at the shelving and see exactly how many of what they need. And again, that's that efficiency. That's the throughput. That's the accountability of inventory. That's controlling your costs. It's like nobody needs to speak here. You look, you see what it needs, you fill it, you invoice it, and you're set. And those are really great best practices that we're trying to grow around our group. And as we're under construction of one new Honda store we're building right now, and the Porsche store Gen 5. We're going to break ground in the coming months of that one. So our designs continue to focus around some of these best practices that we've developed. Robotics. Hey, we need sliding doors. We need space for these robots to be able to run around. So we're making sure that we relay this to our architects and engineers as we're designing these stores, because of guys like Matt that have developed these best case processes that is just going to help us continue to get better.
Yeah, they say time is money, so it's great that you guys utilize every second you can.
And
Bill,
Isabella, I literally have, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Kevin.
I was going to say, Isabella, I literally have a spreadsheet where it will show you the value of a minute, and you punch in certain things on how many techs, how many lifts, all that, and it will tell you literally how much money you can make if you can trim off a minute off of each tech. 1 bay, 1 minute, 1 day, and I had to check my formulas multiple times because the numbers were so high.
Wow.
Kevin, everyone's going to want that spreadsheet now. They're all going to be emailing you and contacting you and Bill.
Small fee. It can be had.
And to Kevin's point, we looked at that heavily when we were evaluating the first robot we were bringing in, is how many minutes can this shave off? And again, you start backing in to this number, it's a ginormous number. So it's tough to say the robot doesn't make sense when you have a document like that.
Yeah.
Bill, it's going to be exciting to see these new facilities firsthand. I know Ted and myself and Isabella are looking forward to those grand openings on the horizon where we'll get to see all this in action. I want to just have a quick lightning round with our group today. And Bill, I'll kick it off with you first, and then Kevin, and then Matt. But just, hate to put it on a 30 seconds or less, but let's do that. Add a little bit of pressure with this last question. Bill, where do you see the biggest opportunities for parts departments to grow in revenue over the next few years?
So I see the biggest opportunity is utilizing your Dynatron partners. Look at an op code and see what the value of that part is per op code. Top 20 opportunities. If you raise that $1, how much money is the value of that?
Kevin?
Oh my goodness. That's not fair, Bill. He's absolutely right. And honestly, to partner onto that, once you identify those parts, just look at the lower end of that matrix. You can the things that you sell 1 million of, if you tweak that even a nickel, it's going to turn into some real money. And honestly, I'm a firm believer that a part should not leave a parts department for under $5. I don't care what kind of part it is.
Matt, bring us home.
I'm with them. I really like Bill's idea as well. That's one of my favorites. But I'm also going to say that I think, accessories on new EV vehicles coming up in the future is going to be a really big hitting point for the parts departments. As oil filters and air filters go away, we're going to have to find a way to fill the void. And the way to fill the void is going to be EV accessories, dressing those babies up and making sure they have all the goodies on them so they look good and make money while we're doing it.
Well said. Very, very, very well said. Matt Cooper, Kevin Dunmire, and Bill Demaree from Tom Wood Automotive Group, thank you so much. Great insights into what you're doing today. Understandably, the leader. Isabella Stevens from Northwood University, thank you so much. Great contributions to the panel today. Sarah, it just gets better and better. Parts is huge and growing, and a lot of eyes on parts.
It's going to be very exciting this year and into the subsequent years, Ted, to see just how much parts will bring to the table.
All right, everybody, there we have it. The leaders from the Tom Wood Automotive Group here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.